right, good evening everybody. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 5:33 p.m. Let's jump into roll call. Dr. Kathleen Barlow.
Here.
Dr. Serafini.
Here.
Trey Justin.
Here.
Joey Bryant.
Here.
Brittany Kinsella.
Here.
Lacey Tompkins.
Here.
Elena Lundway.
Here.
Jacqueline Robinson. Renee Skiles. Brittany Stanis.
Here.
Patrick Stanton.
Here.
Spencer Sutton.
Here.
Tom Votron.
Awesome.
Awesome.
I think you skipped over me, but I'm here.
Yeah.
Skip you? Oh, Dr. Martin Haney.
Here.
I'm also here.
Luke.
Yeah.
All right, moving into this week's agenda. You guys could take a minute to look at that. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve this week's agenda. Trey moves, Brittany seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Brittany Kinsella. Moving into the approval of last week's minutes. You can take a minute to look at that. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve last week's minutes. Brittany Kinsella moves, Trey seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Moving into reports for this week, I don't have any reports.
The current balance is $10,630.21 for the rest of the year.
A few on my end. We did get, and I won't read these entirely, but Board of Trustees did meet on Friday, and the two items for ours that were up were the supplemental budget allocation request specifically for marching and pep band in the total amount of $184,584.84, and that was approved by the board and the cabinet, as well as the base funding allocation for fiscal year 2018 through 21 was also approved by the board and the cabinet. So both of those will be rolling forward. The supplemental requests, marching band and pep band will work with Lacey on those. And then base funding, I'll be sending out a notice to all those areas so I know that has been officially approved with what the recommendation is we put forward. So those will be going out here shortly. Beyond that, just as an additional piece, and I'm going to send this around, I just sent this electronically to you all, but I'm going to send it here. These are just the end of the year eval forms, just for the committee, just for feedback on things that went well, things that could have been done better, and any recommendations for next year's committee. I will put this in for the end of the year report that we send up to the provost and the president, as well as we'll incorporate any things into training needed for the committee next year. So your feedback is greatly appreciated. You can either fill them out today and give them to me today, bring them to the dinner next week, or again, I did send them electronically, so if anyone wants to fill them out electronically, you can just shoot me an email back, but I would greatly appreciate that. On that note, we do need to make reservations for the SA dinner, and I know Vinay sent this out. If you haven't responded back to her already and you're planning on bringing anyone with you, please let her know. Again, we're doing dinner next week. We'll be making a reservation at the Kebab House, and we'll send out the final details once that's done. Dinner for you all is included, up to per diem. Obviously, though, no alcoholic beverages can use SMA money. Any guests you're bringing, though, pay on their own. So we just need to know for the reservation, though. So let me know before you leave today if you haven't already emailed Vinay. And beyond that, I just want to say thank you to all of you. This is our last official meeting. We'll have more next week where I'll say thank you to everyone who's there. But I will say in the 4 years I've advised this is the first year where we haven't had an issue to where everyone's down at evening of recognition. Since there is evening of recognition tonight, normally we're struggling to make quorum, so I appreciate you all here, because you all definitely deserve to be recognized as well. That's all I have.
Thank you, Joey. Moving into public comment first call from the West Side advising base funding update.
That's fast.
Yeah.
I just want to come and let you know that
with some staffing changes and movement, if you were to take a look at the money you have awarded us for part of the salary, it's going to look like we're paying a little bit higher percentage out of S&A because of the differential in salary, that we're going to be paying a new person there compared to the other one. And so I'm just letting you know that if you were to take a look, it's going to look like we're using, and we will be using the S&A fund for about 60% of the salary. When I came originally, we were saying 50%, but I'm not looking at any more money, still staying within the exact budget that I was awarded by you guys. But I just wanted to let you know that if you did do kind of an audit, it would look a little, the percentages would be a little different than what I had originally requested. And that's all I have. Any questions? Yes.
So they asked us yesterday to, I'm making a different request.
Okay.
I got
This
confused.
is for base funding for West Side Advising.
Yeah, this is not the balance for which we talked about.
No. No. Any other questions? Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to section 7, old business, voting on supplemental funding request 1734 for the swing cat lessons in the amount of $199.84. Table's open for discussion.
I have a question for the gallery. Did you guys do the fundraiser with the bathroom? How did that go?
Rather well. From a mix of our dance, the bath bombs, and donations while at trombone shorty, we just put in 400. So we are at 601.
610.
610.
Motion to approve the full amount for 1734.
There's a motion on the table. Luke seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Moving on to old business section B, so, is this supplemental funding request?
Yeah.
Supplemental funding request 1704, the National Advanced Teachers Association exam follow-up. Oh, yeah.
So I was here end of winter quarter requesting $2,000 to go to Florida for National Dance Teachers Association examination for a ballroom dance teacher certification. I was granted $1,500, and the original plan was for me and another faculty to go to Florida, and then shortly after I was granted the money, plans changed and we brought the examiner out here for a few weeks ago, the beginning of May. And the original numbers that we knew were not quite accurate. We didn't have enough information. So the breakdown, Lacey, you also have it. We just weren't quite given up. There was a miscommunication, so we didn't know. But what I am requesting again is still below the amount I was granted. So as you can see there, we had 4 hours of training prior to the certification, and it's $75 per hour, which equals $300. And ultimately there were 2 of us who tested me, and faculty member Adam Myers. And then there's a testing fee to the organization, as well as the certifier had a testing fee of $75 per hour, and there were 2 of us who tested, and it was 3 hours total. Yes, 3 hours total. So it was an hour and a half each, and an hour is $75. So then my part comes out to $112.50. So total, my portion of the weekend's certification and workshop is $487.50, which is much less than I was granted the $1,500. So I was just wanting to follow up and be sure that that was going to be granted, because then we were told I was only getting $75, which was the original fee that we thought was for the testing, but then it turned out to be more. So just wanting to request that much, which is less than it originally was granted. So that's how much it would be for my part.
So basically her initial request just had itemized things that didn't really match up with these itemized lists. So
Yeah.
the dollar figure's lower, it's just different costs than
Yeah.
the original request.
The money's being used for different things than originally planned.
Has this already happened?
Yes, it happened beginning of May.
So, do we need to approve that amount and the rest comes back to the committee? Or?
Yes.
And just for clarification, this is partially because the amount changed, but specifically because the initial request that you all approved was for her to travel to do the training, and that was that, but because the trainer came here, the only part that would have been just for the course fee, but there was a number of things that were different, so simply to make sure that you all are fine with this money going here, it goes back to you all for approval since the initial request changed.
And both the faculty member and I have held pass, so we both have that certification for the dance department as well, for our teachers.
Cool. We vote on this? Yep.
Need a motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve this amended request amount for $487.50.
There's a motion on the table. Is there a second? Elena seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion passes.
Congratulations.
Moving on to Section 8, new business, supplemental funding request presentation 1735, the SHRM National Conference, the amount of $1,959.90.
Hello everyone, my name is Michael and I'm here on behalf of SHRM, and we are requesting $1,959.90 to be able to attend the SHRM Annual Expo in New Orleans. Dates are June 18th to the 21st. This is something we really want to do. We have 3 advisors for the student chapter, and we were told that the current board members, the ones ending the 17 year, had kind of a rough year. So we're trying to start off the new year with more involvement, being active. We have 2 parent chapters, YVHRA in Yakima and Wenatchee, and they're also very enthusiastic and excited for us to do this. We requested $1,000 from Career Services, but that's kind of iffy. SHRM chapter, our own chapter, is willing to give us $1,890. And after that, so Club Senate is going to give us $1,800. They're actually in a meeting right now trying to get that. So Club Senate is $1,800. Career Services is $1,000, maybe. SHRM is putting up $1,890, which would leave $2,399.90. We're requesting $1,959.84 from SNA, which would leave $440. Half of that, SHRM is also willing to pay for. The remaining $220 would fall on the students. If we are unable to get the $1,000 from Career Services, that is what we are requesting. $1,890 from SNA. If they do give us $1,000, we would refund $1,000 back to you guys. Thank you.
Are there any questions for the presenter?
Just to clarify, are you asking for the 1959? I know you just said 1890.
Yes, sorry, 1959-84.
Can you tell me what SHRM is?
It's the Society for Human Resource Management. Yes.
How are students selected to go as well?
Right now, the only ones that are going are 6 out of the 7 board members. There really isn't no selection criteria. If you're interested, you can go. But as of now, only 6 of the 7 board members are going.
Are there any further questions for the presenter?
I was going to say, for point of clarification, since this is our last business meeting on both of these funding requests, after the question and answer, we will be voting on the funding for it tonight.
Any further questions? Dr. Beanie?
Yeah, so, it says you have $23,000 in your club account.
Yes.
Are you thinking about maybe using some of that for the trip, or do you have?
We're using 18, the advisors agreed to give us $1,890 to pay for our registration, and then whatever cost is remaining after other resources come in, they're gonna pay half of that. What they didn't want to do is basically have it all paid for, all expenses paid trip. So let's say you guys don't approve the full amount, we don't get anything from career services, or, excuse me, let's say you guys approve it, and let's say the finding ending amount is only $100 for the students. SHRM will not be willing to pay as much for us. And we are a new board, so they do kind of want us to work towards building some funds also ourselves. And since our tenure just started, that's where we can request funds.
You're a new board, what does that mean?
We were just recently elected in March.
Oh, okay, but the club's been here
Correct.
forever.
Yes.
Okay. Maybe not forever.
Can you tell us a little bit about what your club does, or like how you would use that money that you have sitting in your account?
So every other Tuesday at 5:45 p.m. in SHA 114, we usually have a speaker come. It's a speaker from the HR community. It can be alumni from HR profession. It can be basically anyone that can come and share their expertise or knowledge, help us increase our professionalism, and basically to be more effective in the Department of HR management, that is. So by going, we're hoping to learn basically more of the HR effectiveness there and bring it back to here. Be able to share it with other students and increase our membership in the student chapter.
Are there any further questions? With that, I would like to entertain a motion to move voting on supplemental funding request 1735 to this week. Trey seconds, or yeah, Trey seconds. No.
You're entertaining motions, so you.
I move.
Yeah, Trey moves. Is there a second? Spencer seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? One abstention, motion passes. The table is open for discussion on voting on this supplemental funding request.
This one.
This one.
The actual amount they're requesting is $1,959.90.
That's assuming, that's what you're requesting, but they're assuming it's other funding.
And if there is other funding, then the remaining balance would go back, yeah. And I will say this just as a point of clarification. We do have, if I wrote it down correctly, $10,630 remaining for the year. Now, knowing this is our last meeting, however, that does not mean we need to use it all up, but just so you all are aware, there will be no other funding requests other than the one remaining after this one.
And I'm sorry, how many people are going on the trip?
6.
6.
Does it matter at all that this is, this would take place after Kaiser?
No. Yeah, and it's a weird spot anyways for SNA since we don't meet until October.
Right.
The only time there may be a weird thing is with the fiscal year, which isn't until the end of June, beginning of July, but that's already a weird situation. We'll at least figure that out.
So all the students are continuing on because they were just elected to a new board, right? So they're graduating and getting.
Yeah.
So if even, if
We still-
graduating at another.
We would still be able to,
I'll move to approve the full amount.
There's a motion on the table in full amount. Ton seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? 2 abstentions. Patrick and Martin. Motion passes. Moving on to supplemental funding request presentation 1736, the CNW 54th Annual Northwest Regional Emmy Awards in the amount of $500.
Hello, everyone. My name is Vaughn Jones. I'm a senior at Central Washington, and I'm a part of Central News Watch. And basically what Central News Watch is we go around the community and on our campus at Central Washington, and we cover stories, sports related, anything that's going on in the community. And we basically, from the first time I started, I've been doing this for about 6 to 7 quarters now. And from the first time I started, we have done a complete 180, and we finally have put ourselves in a nomination. We put in 8 nominations, and there's 4 nominations that got accepted. And so
the Emmy, this is our first time ever entering, or entering this awards, and to get 4 of 9 of the nominations for the Northwest Emmys, we feel like it would be beneficial for Central Washington to be represented, not only for us to kind of have the opportunity to meet and greet with professionals in the field, but to establish Central Washington as an up-and-coming program in the Pacific Northwest.
My name is Kyler Roberts. I've also been a part of Central News Watch for about 2 years, and I think this showing that of all these schools in the Northwest, we have 4 out of the 8 nominations. That's pretty impressive. And for us to be nominated is one thing. For us to show the dedication and be there amongst all these professionals that are also nominated for their professional awards in the real world would show a lot to them, I think. And like Vaughn said, a complete 180. This is our very first time entering our projects into this award show, and we've done pretty well. So from the time we first got here, we've completely turned the train around, and I think that this shows that our work, it deserves to be recognized. We should be there to meet with professionals.
Are there any questions for the presenters?
Congratulations on your nomination.
Thank you.
Where are you gonna hang all the plaques?
we'll probably give them to our...
They're actual Emmys.
Yeah, okay, you'll need a display case.
They have to get security.
Cool.
Yeah, so we're requesting $500 for tickets. The tickets are $125 per person. We'll handle transportation and everything and all that, but we just need the funding for the prices on the tickets to get us there.
And tickets are kind of expensive because it's a black tie event, so it's a kind of a fancy event, so good opportunity.
Are there any further questions?
Right, thanks, thank you.
With that, I'd like to entertain a motion to move voting for supplemental funding request 1736 to this week. Trey moves. Is there a second? Elena seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? The table is open for discussion. Trey?
I'd like to make a motion to approve 1736 in full amount.
There's a motion on the table for the full amount. Is there a second? Spencer seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Moving on to Section 8, new business, the ESC carry forward in the amount of $1,200.
And I will attempt to cover this for a moment because they're down at evening recognition and we're heading up here at 6, thinking that we would not move this quickly through the agenda. So they are on their way in a moment to give more information. But really what this is there's two different ones. They'll give more details. ESC is requesting the first one to be able to carry forward $1,200 because there's some, I believe, travel or programs they've already approved that take place later in the summer. So the $1,200 is simply to carry forward the amount they've already allocated on that end. The other one, and again, they're going to give much better details when they get here. The other one is a request, which you all probably want to ask some questions about, is simply that they're requesting that any remaining money in the ESC account at the end of the quadrennium be used to go towards the PUSH initiative. So supporting students in need of hunger or home and shelter and things along those lines. I do not know exactly how much, so hopefully they will have a better idea of how much may be in there. But it's really up to you all on whether or not to allow them to use that, since that's not what the ESC allocation was for, or whether or not they need to be told to come back and request next year a supplemental request for PUSH specifically. Yes, you can absolutely entertain a 5-minute
I'd like to entertain a 5-minute recess. Trey moves, is there a second? Ton seconds, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? This meeting will resume at 6:05.
You have phone charger?
Huh?
You have phone charger?
I do not. Sorry. Are you dead? Hurry. Let's go.
Absolutely. Yes. And congrats to you all.
I'm so proud of
Thank
them.
you.
So this is, yeah, enjoy.
Thank you.
So now they need to buy the tickets, but how do we do that? So, hi,
I'm Carrie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I sit there and I give them a quick fine, because it's been a whole agenda. We just got to here. So I sit there and they get through, so I give them a brief, here's what's coming. But then they want to take a 5 minutes, so yeah, take a minute to break.
She's like, I'm like, okay.
Yeah. When, and you know, you can give a better update. You'll probably don't know.
Okay.
Do you know roughly?
Okay.
How much is it?
Good to know. Thank you, appreciate it.
And if it's 263, it's.
Thank you, everyone. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. Everyone in the last one, yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah, we just got one for $4,700 last week and one for $5,000. Yeah. They're coming. And
They
so
are.
we have the money and they need it, we're funding them.
Well, I was gonna say, especially if it's applicable,
If, yeah,
why not?
if they meet, the goals and mission of ESC, we're funding it.
How's it going down there?
Actually, really good.
Good.
Mhm. Really good. Are you coming down when you finish?
That is the plan after I go to the things office to get it. Because Joy is getting it ordered.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, I know. That's why I was like, I want to go there, but it's our last meeting. I was like, oh, we flew. It's extremely fast.
Well, today's so crazy for me because I've been doing from just vacations and.
Well, I had the awards thing this morning to present at, and we had one of our candidates for exec, director of OSP. He was on the committee, so that was my entire day. Was in the morning was all there, and in the afternoon, that's why I finally got back to my office and called you.
Yes, I was, the more I thought about it, I was like, because this was our place.
Yeah.
We were going to speak at some in, we were going to do a special meeting.
Oh, okay.
And vote for the.
I didn't know that's
last
in
week. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I know it's almost.
We were done.
Yeah. This is our last one that we have. Our dinner. Because we don't meet during finals group, so.
It's the most fun to finish because you know it's not I'm dying, so
That's exciting, but also slightly hard. More depressing for me than for you.
I think he did the kind of thing either the one
hated, but put it in you're good.
Right. Only slightly, sorry.
Just one presenter?
But he's like, oh, I like the plugs, like those,
I'd like to call this meeting back to order at 6:04, and we're going to move into the ESC carry forward in the amount of $1,200.
So good afternoon, everyone. What we did this year is we had several groups that have come to us for funding because they're going to be traveling in the summer. And we did award one group who will be going to Los Angeles for a service learning project. And the cost is 3 members, and it's actually $900 because we only give $300 per person when they're traveling from ESC. And so they're going to the National Social Science Association. I'm sorry, I said LA maybe, but they're actually going to San Antonio, Texas. This group is going October 15th through the 17th. And because we probably won't have our first ESC meeting until about the second week in October, we want to make sure that we can fund this group over the summer so we can pay our portion of the $900 and get their tickets. So we're requesting that be left in our carry forward.
Are there any questions? Tom?
So what's 912?
I didn't hear. Can you read?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
it's 900 and not 1,200?
It's 900, yes. Because it's only 3 students, and we only do $300 per student. You are.
Are there any further questions? With that, I'd like to entertain a motion to vote on the ESC carry forward in the amount of $900 due tonight. Brittany moves, Tom seconds. Is there any?
Just point of clarification, we don't need to vote on that, it's already on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we don't need to vote on voting on it.
The table is open for discussion for voting on the ESC carry forward.
I mean, I think it makes sense. They're not gonna have the meeting in time and the students wanna go, so I like it.
So again, to clarify, ESC has already voted and approved it, it's just making sure they have the money so it doesn't eat out of next year's. Yeah.
I motion to carry it forward.
There's a motion on the table. Is there a second? Dr. Kennedy seconds. Is there any discussion?
And the amount is?
$900.
$900.
It says 12.
It does.
Oh.
We had 2, but we only need the 900. It's only 3 students instead of 4.
And to clarify, Brittany, is your
Yes.
motion for the $900 to carry forward?
Yes.
Thank you.
To make sure we do the right one.
Yep.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion to carry forward the ESC funds of $900 is approved. Moving on to new business section C, subsection C, the ESC carry forward with a push initiative.
So Andrea came up with, it's evening of recognition, and she's the first one to talk. So we didn't want to take a chance that she'd be up here and not downstairs. So I'm kind of her surrogate who's here, her avatar. So what we were talking about in ESC, we're not sure how much money we'll have left over this year in our ESC account, but the council wanted to vote to see if the carry forward could be used to support programming for student hunger relief. And I don't know if all of you are familiar, they're estimating about 8% of our student population it has food insecurities. And so the group met and talked about the fact that they had, you know, a couple $1,000s left, that they would like to do some programming to support that hunger relief and not have that money wiped. We don't know right now how much money we do have left because we funded several funds requests that fit the ESC mission. So we're hoping that we may know maybe by the middle of next week exactly what we do have, and we just want to go from there.
But it's approximately $2,000.
We don't know for sure. What we were saying, if we had that left, we may not have anything. We don't know because, as you know, as funding gets low, folks start finding places to come to get money. And just this past week alone, we got $9,700 in funds requests from 2 different groups. So we don't have the final numbers on what we will have left right now.
So is there anything preventing you from going ahead and approving that request now, just the lack of clarity on what you're...
Well, we just wanted to be transparent and come to the group here, the committee, and let you know what we had left, if we could use it. We just didn't come up with a dollar figure that we could use. Is that what you're asking?
So this was not part of your base funding proposal?
No.
I think
Is that what you're asking?
Kind of, yeah, that helps.
No, it was not part of our base funding proposal, no. But when the council met last Monday, they were hoping that funds would be left over that they could use for programming for hunger relief.
Brittany Stamos?
Would the programming and stuff be happening this summer rather than like in June? Is that why you're asking a period forward?
We'll start in August, actually.
Okay.
Yes.
Could you talk a little bit how this aligns with the ESC mission?
So one of the things, we don't have a definite number on what group of students that are suffering from food insecurities, but one of the things is we just believe in inclusion and diversity, and so we have fellow students that are suffering from whatever that might look like, and we can make a difference for them by providing whatever programming opportunity, food or a meal or whatever. That's what ESC sees themselves as a part of. So just want to make sure they're taking care of their fellow students, if possible.
Are there any further questions?
Is this the discussion part of the question part?
Questions?
Okay.
I have a question. Do you know how much is in the account right now or before the Monday meeting?
Unfortunately, we don't, because the last week and the week before last, I'll just put both weeks together. So within the last 2 weeks, we probably had, with the $9,700, probably another $12,000 worth of requests from the psychology club and several other clubs on campus that found out that money was still available through ESC, and they've been coming. And so we're having a special meeting this Tuesday, because we had our last meeting this past Monday. So we're doing a special meeting. We suspended the bylaws to meet next Tuesday and vote on those. So I don't know how many they will vote to fund and how many they won't. But I won't know until Tuesday night.
So I can't speak for the entire committee, but I think I would feel better when that you were asking for a not to exceed amount.
Okay.
Right, because with no amount, if we get to the end of the year and it happens to be, and I know it won't be, but $75,000, right? We would have approved that, and that is a bigger question than those two.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So even if you don't know the exact amount, is it possible to say a not to exceed?
Yeah, let's just say not to exceed 5,000.
Then, if we have to, would it be in the minutes, right?
And we may not have 5,000.
You might end up with 3,200 or whatever.
And just for point of clarification, that would be after the discussion, whoever makes the motion can make a motion that would say we're approving.
Right,
Yeah.
I wanted to get her input on what that number could be,
Yep.
so I was trying to make it a question.
And we're also still waiting on, we had the money for graduation celebrations, but some of the groups had more people than anticipated, so, that kind of went over a little bit too. And so we're gonna use those funds from ESC to support that as well.
Are there any further questions? All right, the table is open for, Dr. Feeney?
Yeah, just, forgive me if you already mentioned this, but what are some of the things that Push would do with, say, $5,000?
Well, matter of fact, that's one of the things I was talking with them about to get together when we talked this Tuesday to get something concrete, because I didn't know this was your last meeting. I thought next Wednesday was going to be your last meeting, but Joy informed me this afternoon that this is it. So I'm hoping what they can do is do some food drives, maybe, because I know the Killian rules allow for food to be purchased for students, and that we could put food back in some of the pantries. There's about 9 pantries on campus. We want to put supplies in those pantries for students to be able to use, and that's probably, right now, that's about all they talked about. But they're meeting again when they talk on Tuesday to figure that out. And we're hoping that by the end of the summer, we'll have about 15 pantries. And I don't know if you've seen some of the pantries, but they're really scarce and there's not a lot of food in them. And so we want to be able to fill those pantries up. We want to get 2 large refrigerators to keep perishable items. One in the circuit, maybe one in another building where the pantries get used quite often. And we also want to purchase fruit where students can have fresh fruit that they can just one refrigerator and take and not have to account for that with anyone. And I would say right now, I don't know about the other food pantries, but in the CDSJ, for professional staff, often we buy fruit. We get eggs from community members so students can have eggs. We try to get non-perishable goods for the students to be able to go in there and take it out of our refrigerator. We have a little one in there. We want to get something a little bit larger, just where students can have that option.
So in the Killian outline, it does allow for students.
Yes.
For SNA funds to buy food for students, but it's generally spoken about in like in a context of travel or a recognition or, and I'm just not sure.
Well, it was so ambiguous.
It is.
Really sure.
It's pretty gray. It's pretty gray. I'm trying to make this into a question.
Can I make it into a sort of question? Is there kind of a line item thing that you'll have by next week?
Well, I'm hoping we'll know how much money we have by next week, and we'll know exactly what the students want to do besides purchase food to go in the pantries.
Well, so what else are you thinking of doing?
That's up to them. I don't know.
Okay, so
they have not shared that.
What would you like to see them do?
I would like it to be where we can have a connection card, because sometimes we get students that come in that haven't eaten in 2 or 3 days. And so most of us take money out of our own pocket and we take them downstairs. I'm just using CDSJ for example. I'm sure people are doing it all over campus. And we take them downstairs and we have money on our own personal connection cards and we buy them food. But if we had a way that we can have a connection card that can be signed out by a professional staff member that may need it, and we are able to track that money consistently, have a very transparent process, then students could go downstairs to homes or to the other little small area there and get a meal.
They're creating a budget next week, or the proposed budget next week.
Well, we're hoping that we have all the numbers in. If we fund all those funds requests, then we'll be able to give that to Vicki, and then she can give us a projection.
Because I know you guys are going to kill me, but is this something we should wait until next week for, just so we can see how this is being put together?
We're not voting
We
next
are
week.
meeting next week.
Well, I mean, we're at dinner.
The committee made the decision, and since this is the official last business meeting, the hard part would be since that one's not recorded. Since with the open public meetings, unless we're inviting everyone to come to dinner. Which they could.
Can I? Sorry. I just wanted to add, because I met with Push on Tuesday or something, and they shared with me some of their ideas more specifically. So, like they have arrangements or agreements with like local restaurants and dining services to.
That was kind of part of Campus Kitchens.
Right, yeah, to recover food that otherwise would be thrown away, but then like bringing it back, having a place to keep it, and dividing it up into like single serving packages that they're not going to get back. That is all gonna involve a cost. And they're thinking about setting up like little fridges and microwaves at their different pantry stations so that students can not only get food, but also heat it, or like they can have not just non-perishable food, but they can also have stuff.
And we're going through the state right now to make sure we're not in violation of anything.
Well,
That was the only reason I didn't bring the campus
Sorry.
secrets part up, because it hadn't been verified yet.
What
Yeah.
process with the state are you going through?
Well, they're gonna be going through the Attorney General. They've met with the president already and, you know, his executive staff. And so we just have to make sure, because Washington State has some really strict rules about that.
Yeah, I have some notes to talk about that here in a minute.
Yeah,
Through the discussion.
they're very
But
strict.
is there a qualification process for the students? Is
For
there-
campus kitchens.
Yeah, when they walk in, they just say, I'm hungry, they qualify, or?
Actually, we do intake form. And so
Okay.
we do have an intake form that's created. So we're able to track what students are using what, because right now we provide, we have a foundation account. And so there's monies in that account and we purchase gift cards.
Yeah.
And so we're able to do an intake for those students and track that.
Yeah, and the foundation money doesn't have the same
Stipulations.
restrictions.
Mhm.
that-
So there is a tracking mechanism.
Are there any further questions? Table's open for discussion about voting on the carry forward for the push initiative in the proposed amount of $5,000.
Just as a point of information, with the Killian, this is what Michelle was referring to, but I'll just read it. It is listed under the Killian for permissible use that partial subsidization of a student food bank operation is permissible, provided that the food bank benefits only students. It's just that, that's it.
Yeah, and I bought the Killian list.
And that's what I was hoping you'd have. I think, are we at the discussion for?
Yes.
I think if the SMA money was used to pay rent for a food bank or staff it, that's one thing, but actually buying food might be different. That's something they can work out. My concern is that, I have great compassion for anyone that's hungry. My concern is that the state constitution says that no one's allowed to gift public funds. Clearly, they weren't thinking about a starving student when they wrote that in the Constitution. They were thinking about Central saying, Joey, here's a portion, right? It's not what they were thinking about. But the rules are still the rules.
Right.
And that's why we have to go through all the things like you have to be in travel status to get this. You have to come in and ask SNA, and you have to, for our meal next week, the appointing authority has to approve it. And I'm only bringing any of this up because if we do allow them to carry forward some amount, they have to manage that, right? But I'm just, I'm not 100% sure.
When you say they, what
You guys will have to manage the money. I'm
we
just
will
not-
go to Vicky.
Yeah, I'm just not 100% sure that the money will actually get to food to students once it goes through the AG. But I don't, place your own odds on that.
What qualifies as student benefit? I mean, the recognition ceremony, is that student benefit, for example?
Are you talking in terms of SNA
Instead of like,
guidelines, law, permissible use?
so spending money on recognition medals and things rather than food is student benefit?
Well, I'm not saying instead of food. I'm saying yes, SNA would say that you can do recognition and awards.
And if you
That's the
recognize
student
them
As
for
long as
being
there's a
really hungry,
minimal monetary.
Yeah, hunger seems better than a medal.
I'm just saying the way I understand it.
Crucial. That seems more crucial, yeah. And I don't know, I've seen a lot of recognition ceremonies go around here. I don't know where my medal is. I guess that's why I was asking if there's some sort of budget or something, just because I can see that happening so easily.
For this money, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, we have a pretty transparent process that, and Vicki did, we did this about, I think I took over about 4 years ago, and it's pretty transparent. So everything is run through Vicki, so she has that. Lacey, of course, is there now, and there's Danae. So everything that we spend in ESC is tracked.
I will say that that committee votes on all of it, so it's all students and they all vote.
It is
on
all
it.
students. I don't get a say. I
Well,
just get to
they
talk
won't-
about it.
They won't vote on each student that gets the meal.
No.
That'll go through some sort of process, the intake, and they'll be qualified for it. It won't just be, here's a cabinet on the honor system, right? It'll be,
Well, before.
there's a process, a structure to it.
Well, for the food pantries, no.
Is it-
Students can just walk in any of the 8 food pantries that are currently across campus and take what they want. When it comes to an example, like if a student is like really hungry when we have this often, and we take them downstairs, we do an intake. Or through foundation, we also do an intake because we allot for those gift cards that we currently have.
And all that, I suppose, can get worked out.
Well,
I do have a question, even though I know this is the discussion part for the committee, not really the question part. To clarify, was this brought up by the board that they would like to use this, or was this a request coming forward that someone was requesting?
It was a council.
Okay, so there was no request for
The
that.
council met last Monday and made that request. And so that's when I told Andrea I would send an email to get on the schedule so she could discuss that.
A question, on the supplemental, or the request for the next 4 years for ESC, is pushed in that item?
Not yet. So we're hoping that we can come up with funding for that in other sources while we work to come for supplemental and make that a permanent program.
But they can come for supplemental each of the next 4 years.
Or basic?
Well, they can come for supplemental each of the next 3, and then in the
But it's
fourth.
not.
I mean, I think our desire is that we just want to make sure this 8% of students, and plus in that 8%, they're not only have food insecurities, most of them are also couch surfing, which we're not addressing that issue. We're just addressing the food issue.
So just as a reminder to the committee, you all, this is now open on whether or not you all, not whether or not to fund push, but whether or not you're allowing ESC to carry forward any remaining funds, or up to whatever you say with their intent of using it for push. But it would really just simply be allowing ESC to keep X amount of money.
And is the concern then that if the money is used to address food insecurity for students, it'll be considered a gift of state money?
Well, that's not my decision. I'm just saying,
Raising?
I'm saying that in the clearest way possible, I'm saying I think that there's a chance that if you vote to allow the money to carry forward, there is a chance that it doesn't actually get food into a student's mouth because of all the wranglings with the state laws. I'm saying it's not necessarily guaranteed that that's what they will be able to work out. Doesn't mean they'll try, I think.
And there maybe have to be additional pieces if that is the case, since Killian really does say student food bank operations.
Partial funding.
For student food bank
It
operations.
seems like $5,000.
Which we would clarify before spending the money.
It seems like $5,000 would fit partial funding, right? You can't get much of a food bank for $5,000. So it does seem to fit that.
And I think Patrick's statement is really simply because food is a big one that the Washington State Constitution dings on, which is why that is one that auditors look at very closely, any food that is spent, to make sure that it goes through proper approval.
And there's no problem if somebody donates money to the foundation with no restrictions on it. And the foundation says, we want to buy 1,000 turkeys and put them in a freezer and you can come have one. We can do that all day. The state money is different, even though it's SNA, it is still state money. So anyway, I've said enough, I think.
Well, again, we are going to be talking with the Attorney General to make sure that we are not violating any policies, procedures, and rules. No wackos here.
Dr. Kennedy, motion to carry forward? There's a motion to carry forward, and is there a specific capped amount?
We didn't do the 5,000, as we said.
5,000. There's a motion on the table to carry forward ESC for the push initiative of $5,000. Is there a second? Elena seconds. Joey?
Well, to clarify, because I have to write this down, but it's not here. Your motion is to allow ESC to carry forward up to $5,000.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there any discussion?
Wait, who's second?
Elena. Thank you. Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? 1 abstention, 2 abstentions. Motion passes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Y'all have a good night. Come downstairs if you make it.
Moving on to section 9, other business communications received. I've received no communications.
I've not. Oh, I did have communications. I did have a question because again, I forgot I was taking notes. Who? Can you all remind me who made the motion in the second for the 5-minute break since I have to put it in the minutes?
I made the motion.
Thank you, Trey.
I don't know the minutes.
And I voted no.
I'm saying you voted yes.
Okay.
We'll say Tom. All right, thanks. I realized that after the break was already done.
Moving on to section 10, public comment, second call. Is there any public comment?
Have a great summer.
Again, reminder, we have dinner next week. If you have any guests coming with you, let me know before you leave here unless you've already emailed Vinay.
Along with public comment, I'd just like to say thank you guys for making this an amazing, productive year. It's been fun.
I was thank you to you.
And I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting. Trey moves, Brittany seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? 1 abstention. This meeting's adjourned at 6:29.